Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the House of Kayfabe, and I am here with Derek Jones. Derek Jones, man, Double or Nothing, AEW, I had to talk to you about it. I talked to Barker going into this thing, and we talked about the CM Punk machine and where it was headed. That was basically the topic of discussion, and I figured you were the perfect person to have a conversation with about Double or Nothing. For obvious reasons. But so did you like the show?
I did. Ups and downs, obviously, just like any other wrestling event. I could dissect it from either side of the coin, whatever you want me to play. I'll be devil's advocate, but all in all, I enjoyed it.
I enjoyed it. You know what I've really found that I enjoy about AEW pay-per-view days is I get really excited about them. And it's been so long since I got really excited about a WWE pay-per-view. Now I make myself get excited at WrestleMania time. And just like I did this past year, I got myself hyped up because it's WrestleMania, and it doesn't take much to hype me up for WrestleMania. The card can suck and I'll still get behind it because it's WrestleMania. It's like Christmas. I'm not shitting on Santa Claus for nothing. You know what I mean? But I haven't got excited like the way that I got excited for older WWE pay-per-views. I feel that about AEW shows, and I like that feeling, even though they don't always do what I want them to do. They don't always hit a home run, but it still gets me excited going in, and that's what I like about AEW pay-per-views.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I say it in the group all the time. Wrestling is not one size fits all. And that's the best part about it. Things you didn't enjoy about it, I might have loved, or somebody else might have loved. And the great thing about AEW, in my opinion, is it's not as predictable yet. I mean, obviously there's still that opportunity for it to get in a very predictable rhythm and pattern of what they're going to do, but they haven't gotten there yet because they're still relatively new. They're 3 years in. And the great thing about their pay-per-views is you don't get one every month. So you do get excited about it because there's time to build. There's time to really feel the excitement of what you're doing. There's time to tell a story. They allow that story to play out a little bit in front of you and not just, hey, you have 25 days to figure out what you're going to do. And then after that, you've got 25 days to change your story completely and let's do something else.
Yeah. We got to do it again, and we got to rush, and we got to rush, and we got to rush. And, of course we want more wrestling, but I think you're 100% right. I believe that the WWE storyline at least could really benefit from an 8 pay-per-view a year schedule.
Absolutely.
I think even a 10 would give a little bit more, but I think an 8 pay-per-view schedule is the perfect lineup for your story to take place. Now there's room for other types of events, but those events don't have to be pay-per-views. You know what I mean? Is pay-per-view even a word anymore? Are people, pay-per-view? I guess people are buying pay-per-views.
I mean, it's still an option to buy, but I mean, how many people actually buy and not just pick up Peacock or, whatever it may be? I mean, AEW runs a true pay-per-view because they don't have a streaming service yet. But with WWE, it's not a pay-per-view. And like I said, the 8 pay-per-view concept is great for WWE. You have your 4 big ones through the year for your 4 major champions, and then you have 4 others for story building and the fill in the gaps.
Yeah, we were talking about the next big pay-per-view, Money in the Bank, and Cody Rhodes is all over this thing. It's happening on July 4th. And this thing is happening in Las Vegas at the Raiders Stadium on July 4th. And Cody Rhodes is involved. And they didn't call it the Great American Bash.
Right.
How do you not do that?
Like, why not push Money in the Bank off another month or to the end of the month and have a TV special on July 4th?
Or make a Money in the Bank match at the Great American Bash, which would sound better and feel better anyway. There was so many, to me, we talked about this on the last video, me and Barker, but I just wanted to bring it up, bring it up around you too, because it's just interesting that they would waste that opportunity. But that's not what we're here to talk about at all. We're here to talk about Double or Nothing. And I really enjoyed the build up to this pay-per-view, and I really enjoyed this pay-per-view. Let's start out with the beginning. Now, I missed this. This is the buy-in. We seen I guess this would be the true pay-per-view debut of Hookhausen.
Yes.
And what were their opponents? I didn't even see this match.
So you have Hookhausen, Danhausen, and Hook against Tony Nese and Smart Mark Sterling.
Oh, I do remember this match getting announced, and I couldn't figure out why Smart Mark Sterling was even in this match to begin with, and why they would stick Tony Nese like that. I'm a huge Tony Nese fan. Do you like Tony Nese?
I do. I liked him as the premier athlete. Really liked him in the early days when he was running an Impact. I actually don't think WWE did anything with him in 205 like they should have. Dude looks like $1 million. He can work. That's the guy you model your action figure after. Yeah,
for sure. 100%. So how did this match go down? Like I said, I didn't even get to see it.
So this is really a match to truly showcase Hook as an athlete, as a performer, and then a little bit of comedy from Danhausen. I don't know what they're going to do with these guys, but if you follow AEW Dark, these are the two guys that they're pushing every week. This is the storyline that they're telling in the background. So that's why this match ended up on the pre-show or on the pay-per-view whatsoever. It's the only reason it was there. Here's our kid of the future, plus, the hot new guy from the Indies that we're going to kind of strap him to and see what we can work out of it. Hookhausen gets the victory in the end. It's really good because, Hook does all the work. Danhausen wants the tag. He gets the tag, and he comes in and does the cheap foot on the chest pinfall just for a little bit of a laugh at the end. It served its purpose 100%. And I'm a Danhausen fan, and I don't mind Hook whatsoever. That kid is over. When you're in an AEW arena, that kid is over.
He's over.
Like, unbelievably over.
I don't get it. Steve Barker says that if I ask my teenage daughter, she will explain it to me, but I don't understand. And that doesn't make any sense to me because I don't see anybody's teenage daughter in the AEW crowds. But I don't get the Hook thing, but I definitely see that he is for sure over.
Listen, in an AEW arena, it ain't got nothing to do with a teenage daughter. When that kid comes out, everybody stands up. It's not one demographic or another. It's everybody.
Yeah.
And I have no clue why or where it started, other than the CM Punk, here I am facing off with Team Taz, and CM Punk said one time, send Hook. And from that moment forward, because his name come out of his mouth is the only thing I can figure, that kid got over.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like he's more over than Taz has ever been over in front of the crowds he's been around. And he was huge over in ECW, but that's what Hook has in AEW.
Yes. 100%.
Did you see Danhausen's getting an action figure?
He's getting an action figure. I'm really excited about that.
He's in the new line. And have they released the CM Punk action figure yet?
So that he's got one getting ready to come out. I've got it pre-ordered. They debuted his. They had the Fan Fest at Revolution when I went to Revolution, and they had the figures that were coming out. He was part of that series with Ricky Starks and some of the others that were just released. So the next line that comes out will feature the CM Punk figure. And he has two or three coming out. What is it?
The Bryan Danielson figure. Are we going to see one of those?
He was released. The prototype was released this past weekend at Fan Fest. So he has one coming out as well. Bryan Danielson, Adam Cole. I mean, they had a ton of stuff they announced.
Nice. We're going to have to do an episode just about that. So when we start this pay-per-view, first match of the night, go ahead.
So the first match of the night, you were looking at the MJF Wardlow match, which is really, I feel like what we really need to talk about in this video alone. We could make a separate video about this situation and what's going on, but we'll touch base on a little bit of it.
I've got some questions. I really want to talk about this right now. And some questions I have is, I heard that MJF was making something like 150 grand a year. Is that the truth?
So what I 200K is what I've seen
200K
pretty consistently. 200K a year.
$200,000 a year to be MJF.
plus his merchandising rights.
Okay, and that's that's a big issue. It's a big issue for MJF. He feels like he's worth way more than that. And then Tony Khan, he is agreeing with him, saying, yes, I will pay you more than that, but I need an extension. He's saying no extension, just a raise. And we actually thought that he was not going to show up to this pay-per-view and perform because of this situation. And I don't know if we were worked or not. Were we worked?
So I talked to somebody else about this today, and part of me really hopes so. I hope so. I hope we were worked out of our shoes. I hope that MJF is trying to bring back kayfabe. But I don't know, because let's break this down in realistic time. If MJF is only making $200K a year, he has every right and reason to be upset. But when he signed his contract, he wasn't worth $200K a year.
Right.
He was worth whatever he was getting paid on the indies.
Right.
Now he has a national platform to make $200K a year. And yes, he has put himself in position, as Tony Khan allowed him to put himself in a position to be worth more. Does he deserve a raise at the present time? Not without some form of an agreement. I'm not going to give you more money just so you can save up and run away. If you want to get paid more and continue to do what you do, you're going to stay longer.
Yeah.
I see both sides of it.
Where Tony Khan's coming from. I completely. Yes, MJF is worth a raise, but there is give and take. And he's going to have to give a little if he's taking a lot.
Yeah.
For sure.
And I think that would come down to, how much more does he want?
Right.
Does he want $1 million a year? Because in my opinion, he's not worth $1 million a year yet. $500,000 a year, absolutely.
Absolutely. $500,000, absolutely. Maybe even 750K.
Yeah. Because a lot of guys that come in at NXT, when they're regularly appearing on NXT television, most of those guys set at about $500,000 a year.
Actually, I would say if I'm Tony Khan, I'm probably going to try to offer him $1 million because I want the extension and because I want to make sure he is out of reach for WWE. And if they do get him, they're going to pay for him.
Right.
So, yeah, I would probably go up to $1 million, even though, maybe he hasn't reached that yet, but that's not his fault because you put him in front of a crowd like the WWE, he's going to get over there too. Wherever you put him, he's going to get over. So
if they allow him to do what he's doing now,
how could you not? Well, we are seeing Cody Rhodes be AEW Cody Rhodes 110% in the WWE right now. So, and I have no idea how it happens. I feel like I'm in a fever dream every time I see it, but it's happening. I mean, I see them promoting Cody Rhodes more than they would promote their own people, beforehand. I've never seen there be a countdown to a person. I mean, have you?
Very rarely.
Why is this happening for Cody? And obviously somebody seen what he was doing on AEW and they were like, we want that exactly. That's exactly what we want. And they're going to do the same thing with MJF because, whoever was watching that and said, this is exactly what we want, seen him MJF that night too. So I don't know, but this pay-per-view starts out with MJF coming out. Now, the question is, if this is a work, that was planned. If this wasn't a work, where was MJF on the card that he got moved to curtain jerk for this situation?
So everything that I've seen, MJF is your opening match from the beginning.
Already planned.
That everything that I've seen, he was your opening match, already planned out. I haven't seen anything otherwise. When they started talking about the card very early on, that was supposed to be your opening match.
Well, all weekend, everyone was talking, is he going to show up? Is he not going to show up? It looks like the match is screwed up. I've seen all kinds of people talking about it. So it definitely had people going. And then to start the pay-per-view out, just shutting all that down, like, here he is. Yes, he is here tonight. It kind of set the pace for a good night.
Yeah, absolutely. And, a lot of the speculation on whether or not he was going to show comes from the Fan Fest where he did not show. So, good friend of the resident in the house, kayfabe, Jimmy Bays, he was there. He goes to every paper. He was there. He was at Fan Fest. MJF was not. And people were in line waiting for him at his time slot, and he no-showed. So they had to allow these people to go to other superstars instead of giving a refund. They didn't refund anybody. You went to someone else and was able to, maximize your money that way. But MJF was not there 100%.
Wow. So what do you think about this match?
I'm very thrown by this match, and I don't know if it's just the idea of MJF has never been in a match like this where he's been completely just not on the offensive whatsoever. I understand building Wardlow. I understand doing business. And if that's MJF's way of doing business, saying, hey, take me off TV for a little while, I've got stuff to think about, which is apparently an interview that he gave today, is he's going to go off the road for a few weeks, could turn into a little bit more. Okay, we'll agree to that, but this is how you get to come off the road for a little bit. You're going to go out there and you're going to eat 10 power bombs in a clothesline, and you're going to get stretchered out. Which was obviously and it completely helps build Wardlow, which was the whole purpose of this match anyway, is to build the big guy. This just done it in a different way than I think they might have originally planned. I have a lot of problem with the medic team that come out and got him. And like I said, I could dissect this from both directions. When you put oxygen on someone's face, you don't put it on their eyeballs, you put it on their mouth. So whoever done that, or whoever the cameraman was shooting that, both of them should be fired or never put on TV again. I mean, come on.
That's true. One thing that came to mind to me, and this is going to be a big statement, you know how I feel about Goldberg. I'm not a Goldberg fan in any stretch of the word, and I lived through that entire build, and I couldn't stand it. And it felt like somebody was trying to create this superhero, and they didn't really know how to create a superhero, so they were just running through whatever they could do, and they didn't think about all the casualties that were going to come from Goldberg getting this big 172 streak and winning both belts back to back, basically. That I feel like this is the Goldberg storyline told right. Like they're doing it the right way, instead of the way that WCW did Goldberg that made me hate him. Not saying that the Goldberg and WCW weren't successful, because they damn sure were. I'm not saying they weren't. I mean, we have to see Goldberg every couple years because of how successful they were with it. But I feel like this Wardlow build is more for the wrestling fan.
Absolutely. And like you used the perfect word there in casualty. There were so many people that were on a good trajectory in WCW that could have been more, that was stopped dead because of Bill Goldberg. Raven. William Regal.
Bret the Hitman Hart.
People that should have never, ever been in a ring with Bill Goldberg. One, for their own self. Two, it made Goldberg look worse because they could actually work a little bit. And that 172 streak could have been probably a 60-win streak, and with the same effect. But you had to go over all these guys and then fix what you messed up the first time.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's where they screwed it up for me, and that's why I cannot stand him to this day. But I feel like Wardlow is a different animal, and we're seeing the same build, just done the right way, done with intricacy, and I dig it, and I don't see as many casualties. Even though I have seen a few, I don't like that they ran through. I mean, there was no reason to have him run through Lance Archer like that.
Right.
There's a casualty.
Yeah. The big guy opposite the ring of you should have never been in the ring, because down the road that could have been a great pairing. Mm-hmm. After you put a piece of gold on Wardlow. Make that loss mean something. Lance Archer stepping up to the champion. whether it be a TNT champion, TBS, whatever, then it means something. But it was just a match just for the sake of a match.
Yeah. Right.
When it could have been Luther or Serpentico or John Cruz or, either the guys from Bear Country, if you wanted a big guy for him to run through. There's plenty of options, but all they saw was, here's a big guy, here's a big name, this could work. But when you're going to run that type of program where you have this guy just annihilate everybody, people are going to get excited about it, especially once he started doing the power bombs. You don't need a big name in the ring with him until the end.
You're right. 100%. Next match on the pay-per-view,
we go to the Young Bucks and the Hardys. This
match was great. It reminded me of all their matches, really, but just kind of a combination of all of them.
They have great chemistry together, and it's due to a lot of, the Hardys or the Bucks taking a lot from the Hardys as they come through, through the business, the same the Bucks did, the Rockers, and so on and so forth. Life imitates art, and here you have it. Two guys that look up to two complete legends of the business, and I'm not a Hardy fan whatsoever, but their name is synonymous with pro wrestling. They've done too much for somebody to take that away from them and not call them a legend. My problem is about halfway through the match, I can't figure out if Jeff Hardy is injured or if he's intoxicated. And I don't know what happened, but the guy couldn't even climb the turnbuckle for a moment.
Well, here's the question: is this the fact that he could be intoxicated, or is this because he has groomed us to think that he's always intoxicated? That's the question, because that match that he had with Darby Allin really took him to the limits. I mean, we seen some Jeff Hardy stuff that we haven't seen in a few years in that match. So my thought of him being injured, I think that's very possible. Now, is it possible that he was intoxicated? Yes, it's Jeff Hardy. So of course there's that possibility, but I don't know that. You see, what is your synopsis on that? Do you think that Jeff Hardy was intoxicated, or do you think that he is still suffering from some injuries from the Darby Allin match?
See, I don't know, and that's why I say it could be one or the other. He could be intoxicated because he was injured. I don't know.
It could be a combination of both.
Right, and the match with Darby was fantastic. He was great in it, And great. This match, like you said, it was a good match. I don't agree with the finish, obviously, but that's because I'm a Bucks fan. But when is he gonna say enough is enough? I need to figure out how to change my style. I am Jeff Hardy. When I walk through the curtain, the respect is there. When do I need to dial it back a little bit so I avoid situations like that?
Yeah. Or so that I can, make my career longer than it'll probably be if I keep going like I'm 25.
Yes.
Straight up. But it was a great match. Definitely enjoyable to watch, like all of the Hardys versus Bucks matches.
It was. And I really, and a lot of the buildup for this match actually happened on BTE. For anybody that watches BTE, if you don't, you should watch BTE because it shows a lot of stuff that they don't put on AEW television, but there's a lot of backstage rivalry between the two groups. That's where the Hardy cosplayer comments started. And then, the Bucks brought out the Hardy cosplay, the week prior to Double or Nothing. So, there's a lot that goes on there that really kind of built up this match even more. It was a good match. I think I really enjoyed their match in Ring of Honor a little bit more so than when I did this one. But again, it's due to the fact that I don't know the mindset of Jeff, and I'm just not a big Hardy guy. So,
man, AEW uses Gangrel like a chair.
Yeah, that I don't agree with. Like, why bring him out and taunt him around and then don't let him do anything? What he dropped Brandon Cutler?
I can't believe that Brandon Cutler was dressed up like Lita. Like Brandon Cutler was Lita. Like,
yes, thong showing and everything.
Man, if AEW closes tomorrow, he is going to have to get a job at Publix or something, because he is never going to wrestle again. He's never going to be. I mean, this guy, his entire identity revolves around the Bucks thinking it's funny to make fun of him.
Yes, but he's such a champ for it.
Oh, he definitely does what he signed up for. But man, what about after? What is the life after this for Brandon Cutler? I don't know.
He will continue to be the guy married to the girl that makes all the Young Bucks wrestling gear.
Oh,
like that's how he's gonna be remembered from now on.
Interesting.
So as long as the Bucks continue to wrestle, he'll have steady income one way or another.
All right. So where do we go next on this pay-per-view?
So after this, we're going to Jade Cargill and Anna Jay, which this match really confused me from start to finish.
It was a very confusing match.
I don't feel like your TV titles should be defended on pay-per-view. I think your champion should be present in some way, shape, or form. But I don't personally feel like the TBS or TNT title should ever be defended on any pay-per-view. Unless you want to determine one major pay-per-view a year where everybody's defended. Okay, that's fine. So we start out, we have Jade Cargill and Anna Jay. So Anna Jay, is she Dark Order or is she not? Because she comes out, she's wearing her original entrance gear, the magician look. They didn't bill her as part of the Dark Order. They didn't call her number 99. Her lower third, however, said from the Dark Order, and she gets in the ring and does the symbol. So is she Dark Order? Is she not? Aesthetics in wrestling mean everything to me. It's got to look a certain way before it makes sense. And it just doesn't make sense. What are we doing?
Right.
So, we talk about who's the heel and who's the face all the time. Was Anna Jay supposed to be the heel this time because she wasn't part of the Dark Order? I don't know. I'm very confused on this match.
I feel like they're not going to take that belt off of Jade Cargill until she goes for the women's championship. I think that's the goal there, I believe.
It's a very good possibility. And speaking of, just brought in, the debut of Athena, formerly known as Ember Moon, which in my opinion is a perfect person to take that belt off of her because it's somebody that can carry the belt. And it's also somebody that can work.
I was, were you surprised at that she came in so quickly?
No, I'm surprised she hadn't already been there. Saving her for the pay-per-view makes a little bit of sense, but I figured she would have already came to AEW, to be honest. When she first became a free agent, Tony Khan made mention of her several times in interviews that he'd done, talking about, how much he appreciated her work and that she would be a good fit for the women's division because she would elevate and bring new eyes to the audience of someone that isn't just, a diva, so to speak, but someone that can actually work in a ring, that has worked with, men and women all over the world.
Yeah. So we seen Jade Cargill run through Anna Jay. It was a pretty good match though. It took a little while to get through, but we seen what was, what I figured was going to happen. There were a couple of moments when I thought Anna Jay might take it.
A little back and forth. She keeps wanting to do this avalanche style face buster, her move off the second rope, instead of just doing it on the ground like she does everybody else. Every time she tries to do it off the second rope, she has either A, messed it up, B, held on too long because she can't figure out how to let go and push down at the same time. She's going to get somebody hurt doing that, and I don't want it to happen, but she keeps trying to do that move from that second rope, and it's going to get ugly one day. She needs to stop.
It's ugly about every time that it happens.
Yes. And it's fine from her feet. She's bigger than everybody else. So when she picks you up, you're already elevated. why do you need to go up to a second rope for it?
Yeah, I would agree. That'll definitely get someone hurt if some changes aren't made. The greenness has to eventually go away, I would assume.
I hope so, and I hope it's soon.
So next match, where do we go next on this pay-per-view?
So the next match is the House of Black versus the Death Triangle.
I think all these matches are building up to a trios championship, but I feel like it should have already been announced.
To my understanding, the trios titles will not be revealed or announced until Kenny Omega is back, according to Tony Khan.
So when Kenny Omega comes back, we're obviously going to see Kenny Omega and the Bucks be the first trios championship. I mean, they're going to
even if they're not
the first one.
Even if they're not the first, they'll be in the finals. They'll be part of that tournament for the titles.
I think it has potential to be really good. I mean, they've really built 3-man teams on a constant basis in AEW.
Yes, and even groups that don't work together on a regular basis, hey, there's two guys, there's another guy that occasionally floats with them, so there's potential there.
Right.
I think that the trios title tournament will be what splits up Adam Cole and, the undisputed guys from the elite guys. And I think that's why they're waiting for it to happen. I think when Kenny comes back, the Bucks go with Kenny, Fish and O'Reilly and Cole move on to do their own thing, and they split that group up. But that's what they're waiting on. And they'll utilize Kenny Omega for that split.
You don't think we're going to see a split similar to like red and black NWO and white and black NWO? Going to see like the elite and the undisputed elite?
I don't, and I don't know. There's too much of the name elite in all elite wrestling already, so I don't think there should be.
But you don't think that that's out of the realm of possibility, is what you're saying?
Oh no, it's a huge possibility because obviously Tony Khan was a huge WCW guy. Just watching what he does and who he books and who he brings in and the way he books matches and different things, he's definitely a WCW guy through and through. So there's a very good possibility that could happen.
So what are your thoughts on this match that we are obviously talking about everything but this match? House of Black versus the Death Triangle.
I think, and I say it every time we do videos. I've said it once already. Aesthetics mean something to me. If you have two teams going head to head, don't steal each other's shit. Not everybody needs to come out with the lights off.
Right.
From the beginning, I'm already irritated.
But it's Penta Dark, right?
Penta Oscuro. That's right. Penta Dark. I understand why they did it, but even if they would have just gave him a bright red light during the whole thing and smoke, but don't turn all the lights off, let these guys kind of come out, and then turn all the lights off 100% again, and then here's the other team coming out. Do something a little bit different, just a little bit, just for me personally. If no other reason, just for me.
All right. So besides the entrances, when we get to the ring, to the nitty gritty, what did you think of the match?
When you get to the ring, when you're down in the dirt and you have these 6 individuals in a ring, this is my match of the night, hands down. This is my favorite match of the night. I think that these 6 guys are 6 of the best working individuals in their company today. So
they are.
I like tag team wrestling. 6-mans are a little heavy for me, but I like the concept of teams and the different things you can do that you can't do alone as far as your move set and the different, scenarios and holds and transitions, and you get more rest time per person, so you can have more high spots. That way you have a guy that can do a big high spot and then set out and have a rest period while the match continues. There is no, I hit a big move, we got to lay here for a minute because I got to relax for a second because that shit hurt.
Right.
We can continue on the match. There's so much more going on, and I have much more appreciation for that. So to me, this is match of the night. I loved it. I loved the end of it. I love the build to trying to get Pac to do, the red arrow, the black arrow, whatever he wants to call it now, And then Julia Hart comes out. So they finally make that transition of her leaving, Pillman Jr. and Griff Garrison. Thought it was great from beginning to end. I thought it was great.
Yeah, it was. It definitely was a great match. I enjoy all 6 of those individuals as well. I do think that the trios idea, once we have titles and it's actually a thing, I think it's going to be a really cool spin on 6-man tags. Like you said, I'm not a big 6-man tag guy. I don't like them normally, but but is it that I don't like them, or is it that I don't like how the WWE does them? I'm pretty sure it's because I don't like how the WWE does them. The 6-man tags are always like an off night. So
yes.
And
typically WWE does 6-man tags as 6 random individuals that are going to have one-on-one matches at the pay-per-view in the ring together.
Right.
They're not actual teams and factions like AEW is building. So we have a bad taste in our mouth over it, but they're kind of doing it the right way to make it feel like something that belongs.
I'm definitely open-minded to 6-man tags right now, more so than ever before in my wrestling fandom, for sure.
Yeah.
And it's AEW's fault. So thank you, AEW. So the next match on this pay-per-view, where are we at?
So the next match on the pay-per-view, we go to the men's finals of the Owen Hart tournament. You have Adam Cole, Bebe, and Samoa Joe. I think the Owen Hart tournament is a great thing. I'm just going to go ahead and say it. I know a lot of people are talking about, online, Martha only went there to make a buck off of Owen's name, and it's disgraceful and this and that. But Owen was a wrestler through and through. I truly believe that even if Owen was alive today, he would appreciate the fact that someone respected him enough to put his name on something that they are presenting as prestige.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I think all the people that are like, you're just trying to make a quick buck on Owen's name, that is ridiculously selfish viewpoint, because I believe that everybody lost when Owen Hart passed away. Every wrestling fan lost, all the family, everybody that ever met the guy lost that day. And the fans, they never got any of it back. They never got to experience it. They never got to celebrate Owen. They never got to put Owen in the Hall of Fame. Like I and maybe it sounds selfish on my part, but I feel as if as fans, we deserve the right to celebrate Owen Hart. And if this is the way we have to do it, cool. I think everyone would agree, Tony Khan included, that this would have been better suited in the WWE or something like it in the WWE, because that's where Owen was at. But if we can't have it that way, if that is not in the cards, then I am completely okay with this. This is something that the fans deserved. It's something Owen deserved, and I'm glad it got to happen. And I think it's really cool how it happened as well, even though Adam Cole and Britt Baker, both wearing pink and black, kind of gave it away that they were going to win this thing, and they were going to win it as a couple. So that's pretty interesting. I really like the fact that we seen a Stampede belts, a Stampede inspired Owen Hart Memorial Cup belts. I like that. However, I don't know who gets the cup, because there was only one cup. There was one Memorial Cup, and there were 2 titles. Britt got a belt, Adam Cole got a belt, and then you have the cup. Where did the cup go? Who gets the cup?
So the cup is staying. It's just going to have their names etched in it. And every year they're going to bring it back, and whoever wins, they're going to etch their names in the cup and present it, and they'll show it off at FanFest and different things, is my understanding.
I am so glad you had an answer to that question. You were prepared to answer that question. I thought you were going to say, I don't know, because I didn't know. But great. Thank you, Derek Jones, our resident professor. Mike, today you don't have shit on this man. But I'm just kidding, Mike. Mike, we love Mike around here.
Love Mike today.
Yes, Mike today. We love you, buddy. Anyway, so next matchup, that would be
The next matchup was the women's. It was Britt and Ruby Soho.
So, and that was a great match.
Great match. So what are they going to do with Britt Baker and Adam Cole being the Owen Hart, Memorial Tournament champions? The concept of the tournament was great. The matches in the tournament were great. I have no issue with everything that happened. If I would have booked this, I know what's going on in AEW right now, and I hate this guy, and I hate everything they're doing, but Sammy Guevara and Ty Conti would have won this tournament. Because it could have been something to make them even more annoying on television than they already are.
Yeah.
It would have been poetic.
It really would.
That's the only thing I would have changed.
That's yeah. I would have to agree with that. I'm assuming these belts are staying home. I mean, these are not belts. These are not belts that people are going to defend throughout the year.
No, I think those are just like here's your trophy.
Yeah, and you take your trophy home, you put it on your shelf, and that's that. Because that's not, they're not going to defend those titles. If they do, they'll make the whole thing stupid. I really hope that those titles do not get defended.
Yes, it 100% should not.
Right.
Let's leave it at that. It should not happen. Please, Tony Khan, don't let that happen.
Do not.
Yeah. So the next match we're going to go into, go ahead and jump in. Scorpio Sky, Ethan Page, and Paige Vanzant versus Sammy Guevara, Ty Conti, and Frankie Kazarian. This is one of those matches where Steve New would be screaming at us, who's the heel and who's the face? Frankie's a good guy. Sammy's a bad guy. They're on the same team. What the hell's going on?
Yeah. It definitely was a confusing match in that aspect for sure, because it didn't make any sense for Frankie to even be on their team. Like, he wanted nothing to do with those guys.
No, the only reason Frankie is there is because there was a comment made a couple weeks back that Frankie said to Scorpio Sky, I want a shot at your belt. Friendly competition. There's no heat there. There's no nothing. He didn't belong.
No, he definitely didn't belong. And I don't think that this match stands out as one of the better matches on the night. Not
even close. I'm a big fan of Ethan Page, and I
like
would have rather him been anywhere else. The only thing that come from this match that will be utilized anywhere is Sammy Guevara kicked Ty Conti in the face at one point. They'll probably have mention of that in a week or two, and then they'll move on from that because it doesn't hold any water. Like, there's nothing there.
I agree. Where do we go next on this pay-per-view?
So next, you have a really great match with Kyle O'Reilly and Darby Allin.
It was great.
I think they put on a phenomenal match. To me, Kyle O'Reilly can work with anybody. I appreciate catch-as-catch-can wrestling. He is a true mixed martial artist. He has found ways to really adapt the actual world of MMA into a professional wrestling ring and work it the proper way. And it looks good. I think it's a great match.
Definitely. I would agree with that 100%. Kyle O'Reilly, I think that he would have had a big future in the WWE, but I think that he has a big future no matter where he goes. The guy's got tons of talent, and I can't wait to see the Adam Cole versus Kyle O'Reilly feud that happens in AEW.
If and when it will headline a pay-per-view.
It definitely will. Where do we go next on the pay-per-view?
So next thing, you're looking at Thunder Rosa and Serena Deeb for the AEW Women's World Championship.
This match, you really can't go wrong with these two females. I would like to take this time to say that AEW has done a really good job of seeing what they lacked in and fixing it. The women's division didn't have the type of competition and the type of matches that we're seeing now. For a long time, I think a lot of people were nitpicking at the women's division, and for good right, because it was pretty bad. But now you see a consistent flow of really good matches out of the women's division here in AEW, and that's what we've seen with this.
They definitely elevated themselves. I'm a very hard critic on women's wrestling. I've said it forever. I think they need to mic the ring for women's wrestling. That's the biggest problem you have when you're in an arena. Watching on TV is a little bit different because you can get a little more of the sound and the feel of the match. You're in an arena, they're not big enough to make contact sound with the ring, and your crowd goes to sleep, which is why I think your pay-per-view kind of dies off on women's matches, because your crowd dies off because they can't get behind it the way they should. They need to find a way to have a better auditory response for women's wrestling for your crowd in the arena to keep them, excited.
To keep them into it. You got to feel it.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's true. So what do you think about this match?
Like I said, all in all, a good match. Solid B+ match. I'm not a big fan of Thunder Rosa. I never have been. I think Serena Deeb is just heads and tails above. I think she's great in ring. And it could just be because I'm partial to CM Punk and she goes back to straight edge society. I don't know, but I like her. I like what she does. I like the way she works.
I would agree with that. So where do we go next on this pay-per-view?
So next we're going to the Backstreet Boys versus Eddie Kingston, Santana Ortiz, and the Blackpool Combat Club. Backstreet Boys we're referring to as the Jericho Appreciation Society. I love the white. I thought that was such a good touch. I mean, if you're going to be a heel, I mean, let's be a heel. Let's go over the top if we're going to do this right. When they come out,
Jericho to always go over the top.
Yes, that was fantastic. When they come out looking like a 90s boy band, I'm like, man, this is sports entertainment at its finest.
It really, really is. For sure. And this match was all over the place. We seen this match spill onto every surface in that arena.
Yes, they left no stone unturned. They were all over the place. Matches like that are great for the in-ring crowd or the in-arena crowd, just for the fact that you can say, I was 10 feet away when this happened. Things that spill over into the audience just make it that much more exciting sometimes for your audience. You went to AEW, you saw Sammy do the flip through the table, you brought home a piece of the table. Like when you're there, I was 20 feet away from Sting jumping out of the rafters through Andrade. Like that memory will forever. I will have that.
Forever.
It just means so much more. And those matches, a lot of people, they hate on them and they talk about, it's trash wrestling and this and that because they do so much hardcore stuff, but it's not meant for your TV crowd. That is meant for your in-arena audience. And it wasn't a bad match. It wasn't a bad presentation by any means. There's just a lot going on.
Whole lot.
But when you were in that crowd and you're right there beside of those things happening, it's memories, man. And it's I'm glad that they do it. I don't think they do it too much, but I'm glad that they adapt it as sparingly as they do, because it does leave a lasting impression.
Now, at this point in the pay-per-view, I am looking at my watch and I am saying, well, what the fuck? This is going to be a really, really long night. Because we still have 2 matches left on this show. And at this point, I was thinking, well, CM Punk and Adam Page is next. And then I was like, oh, shit, the tag titles. So now we go into this tag title match. Go ahead. What's the next match on the show?
So you're looking at your tag team championship match. You've got the Jurassic Express versus Team Taz. And then you have Keith Lee and Swerve Strickland. If it would have been me at this time, that match would have been cut from the card.
You'd have cut it.
I'd have cut that match from the card as late as it was. Now, I know it wasn't as late in Las Vegas because of the time change. They might have been fine with it. But this whole pay-per-view should have started at 6 o'clock, pre-show starting at 5 rather than 7 and 8. And then it would have been fine. Local time is probably okay. They're probably fine. But everybody over here on this side of the country did not want to watch your main event. Like we had to watch, the main event of WrestleMania happen after midnight.
Right. Yeah.
I'm not saying that I didn't.
I did.
I stayed up and watched every second of it. I struggled, and I don't feel like I got to enjoy my main event as much as I should have because I was so daggone tired.
Right. So, okay. So this match though was really good. I really enjoyed it. And I thought for sure that Keith Lee and Swerve were walking out as the tag champions. And I was wrong.
Not only did we think it, but it should have happened.
It should have.
We've got to get the belts off the dinosaur. I'm okay with them pushing Jungle Boy to the moon. And here's how you do it, because in order to have a great comeback face story, you have to be heel for a little while.
He does.
You really do. He's got to be a heel. He's too young not to run heel.
You could save both of them by doing all of a sudden Jungle Boy is getting way more famous than he ever expected to, and girls are just falling all over him, and he's got money, and he decides that he don't need the dinosaur anymore. And then the dinosaur does this big, like, sad, like, lost my best friend type deal where he takes the mask off, and then we see the real person behind the mask. And then you could elevate both of these guys into an actual role they can do for the rest of their life.
Absolutely. And once Jungle Boy gets that taste of success, like I've thought about this a lot. He's got to cut his hair.
Yeah.
I know he's not going to want to, but when he cuts his hair and he puts on a 3-piece suit and they announce him as the Hollywood son, Jack Perry.
Yeah.
Dude's on fire.
Right. Exactly. 100%. Yeah. I think I would start calling myself Jungle Man. That's what Jungle Man. Jungle Man, Jack Perry. Yeah, either way, you could definitely do something awesome with those guys, splitting them up and really developing each one of them individually. But this match I thought was going to be the beginning of them not being together, but that is not the case. They win the match and continue to be the tag team champions in All Elite Wrestling, which is one of the top tag division. I mean, the top. As far as great matches go, AEW's got the best tag division in the industry right now. And Jungle Boy and a dinosaur are the tag champs.
That's right. So, and not to take away from any other tag teams, there's a lot of great tag teams in wrestling today. You know, if we could pull the Usos and we pull Gorillas of Destiny and we could pull a couple of these other guys into AEW, then nobody could touch them. But as a whole, the division is fantastic. It's on fire. They pump out great matches. They've got some ups and downs, but consistently, I'm thoroughly impressed. And not to take away from anybody else in that match, but man, Ricky Starks he's a front runner for future world champion in that company. And if they don't let him slow build, if they want to, that's fine. But if they don't utilize him at some point as your face of the company, they're missing something big there. That kid is money waiting to happen.
He is very, very talented. Everything he does looks great. So we are here at the end of this show. Finally, it's like after midnight.
Half asleep.
Yep, half asleep. And much like right now, Adam Page versus CM Punk for the AEW World Heavyweight Championship. It's what we've been waiting for, some would say for literally years, to see CM Punk be in the ring for a World Heavyweight Championship. And we got to see it, and it definitely did not disappoint.
It didn't, and I'm so torn on this match because I know you know this, and some of the people that are watching this video will know this, but everybody might not. I'm a little bit of a CM Punk guy.
Just a little bit. Just
a little bit.
Just a little bit.
You know, from his Ring of Honor days to his WWE days, I went to Cleveland to watch him get beat up by Mickey Gall. Back to AEW, like, I'm a little bit of a CM Punk guy. Like, I've got CM Punk action figures sitting on this shelf. He is dedicated on this shelf alone to just my CM Punk memorabilia. I don't think he should have won that match.
Wow. Really? Why?
Don't get me wrong. I'm happy that he did because I want to get that CM Punk action figure that comes with the belt to put it on this shelf. And it was a great match. but I don't think he should have won that match as much as they should have used him to really solidify Adam Page as a made man, as a world champion. Beating CM Punk for a world title. Now, again, CM Punk world champion, first title in 9 years. I love it. I love it. But I don't think it should have happened yet.
Interesting. I think that if it wouldn't have happened, then we would have continued with the spiral of CM Punk in AEW as a failure. But we see him win that title, and it solidifying Adam Page, great. He hasn't had that great of a run as a champion. It's not been, it hasn't been anything that stands out to me. I mean, he's not, there aren't that many AEW champions, and he is definitely on the very bottom of the list of champions. Would you not agree with that?
Yeah, 100%. But
so
when you look at the list,
right? When you look at the list, what?
It's hard to, when you look at the list and you're the new guy, it's hard to climb that ladder of the other people that have held the AEW title. So being the bottom of that list is not a bad thing.
No, it's not a bad thing, but he still is at the bottom of that list. And CM Punk solidifying his return, I think, is more important than solidifying Adam Page as a champion at that moment.
And it's hard to disagree with that. It truly is, because now you open up so many doors of possibilities of who now becomes the next made man to beat CM Punk and become AEW World Champion. Was that your original plan, or did you let CM Punk beat Adam Page to later say, hey, MJF, here's part of your new contract. You get to beat CM Punk at some point in Chicago for the world title?
That is a lot to say right there, because really, at this point, even though CM Punk is a brand new world heavyweight champion, I believe the person who defeats CM Punk for the AEW World Championship will mean more than anybody who beat anybody else.
Absolutely. And here's the thing. You've got a handful of possibilities in guys like Adam Cole, Bryan Danielson, Wardlow, MJF, even a Ricky Starks. You will completely mold a career with one match of whoever beats CM Punk. And as often as they work Chicago, if you're going to have a heel beat CM Punk, it has to happen in Chicago.
That's true. So who do you think it's going to be? Who's going to be the guy who beats CM Punk for the AEW World title?
It all depends on how contract negotiations go with MJF, because it should be MJF.
I think it'll be Kenny Omega.
I don't ever want to see Kenny Omega as world champion again, so I'm not going to say Kenny Omega.
I think that I would like to see Kenny Omega be the champion. Well, what do you have against Kenny Omega as the AEW World Champion?
Everything.
I thought he did great.
I'm not an Omega guy.
I feel you, but you didn't like his run as champion?
I like the idea of the belt collector when they were partnered with everybody and he was everywhere. And in my opinion, at that point, he was a true world champion, because it wasn't just this company. He was everywhere, and the story was great. It made sense. And he carried it pretty decent. But I think he's one of the worst promos in the business. And if your champion can't talk, I struggle with it.
All right, before we get out of here, we've talked about Double or Nothing now. I have to get your opinion on Tony Khan's press conference. After CM Punk wins the belt, we get a press conference with CM Punk and Tony Khan, and someone asks Tony Khan about Eric Bischoff's comments about CM Punk being a terrible investment, and Tony Khan loses his fucking mind on them.
I love that Tony Khan is that passionate about what he's doing. Said it in our little chat. Tony's got FU money, and he doesn't care what the rest of the world thinks of him. He's going to say what he thinks and say what he feels. Eric Bischoff's comments are unfair, And here's why. When Bischoff took over WCW and took on the WWE, how established was WCW at that time? When did WCW start? In like 75, 80? Actual roots of WCW, not just Nitro, but WCW is a company.
We're talking like the 88, 89.
Well, 88, 89 is where Saturday Night Main Event started, but they transitioned from Georgia Championship Wrestling, right?
Right.
Okay, so that you're already a company that just rebranded into a new company that's now pushing big names that everybody already knows and has everything going for them, and you're killing it in ratings. And I'm not taking anything away from WCW or Eric Bischoff, because it was fantastic. It was a great time to be a wrestling fan. But to talk about a return on investment for a company that's 3 years old and 50% of your roster are no names that are only, accessible to people like myself that truly follow the independent side of the sport, is unfair. And I think in his mindset, he was just set off by that comment, knowing that that's the truth.
Yeah. Well, a question that I have about the whole Eric Bischoff thing is, what happened? Eric Bischoff and AEW had a good relationship. What happened that made Eric Bischoff want to attack Tony Khan over his investment?
Probably sour that he didn't get to come in more and make more of his money. We used you once or twice for what we needed. I mean, I'm not going to sign you just to bring you in thinking that you're going to come in and take control of anything, because they don't need him. And he understood at that point, I'm not needed, and he got defensive about it. That's just my opinion. Interesting.
So the press conference, you think it's going to be a positive thing or a negative thing? Because he did kind of go off the rails.
And here's the thing about it. It's not the first time he's done it. It's the first time he's done it directly at someone else that is a mainstream person in Eric Bischoff. But everybody's talking about it. And that's the point of pro wrestling. You really look into it, and when you hear the people say he's carny, Tony Khan is a carny, and everybody's talking about it right now.
And it's a beautiful thing. So all in all, if you've got 5 stars on the table, what do you give a star rating for Double or Nothing?
Double or Nothing, 5 stars on the table. Few things I didn't like about it. I was really tired at the end. 3.75.
3.75. So I am actually giving it a higher grade than you are. I was giving it 4 stars for Double or Nothing because there were a lot of high points.
It wasn't their best pay-per-view, and I've been live and in attendance to some of their best pay-per-views, but sure. It was good.
It was damn good.
If they would have shifted that start time, might have got them an extra star. Just you never know.
I understand for sure. Thank you so much, Derek Jones, for joining me on this edition of House of Kayfabe. We are talking about Double or Nothing, and I hope you enjoyed it. Make sure you click subscribe and you tell your friends about us, because we want you to listen to our content and watch our videos even more than you already do. So thank you so much, and we will see you next time right here on the House of Kayfabe.